Good morning. This is a WHUR, Sirius XM Channel 141 News Break. I'm Harold Fisher. Are you in the market for a new set of wheels? Are you worried about trying to get the best deal on a new or used car without being taken for a ride and getting ripped off? Well, my guest is auto expert and editor of JEFFCARS.com, Jeff Fortson, and he's joining me to help you get the best deal without losing money. Jeff, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate your time.
Hey, Harold, thanks a lot for having me on.
Sure thing.
Good to talk to you.
Okay, so first things first, Jeff, before you walk into a dealership, new or used car, doesn't matter, what do you have to do first? Do you have to decide what you want? Do you need to look at your money, cash or credit? What do you suggest?
Actually, both of those things that you mentioned, I would put at the top of my list. You need to decide, first of all, what you can afford. And you also need to decide at the same time, not only what you can afford, but what are you looking for? Are you looking for a new vehicle? Are you looking for a pre-owned vehicle? Are you looking to transport more than passengers in it? Are you looking for something sporty? Just have to take all those things into consideration. Step one that I recommend to do is to get pre-qualified first. If you're not going in paying cash, or if you're not looking to buy from a private owner, you're looking to go to a dealership, then get pre-qualified. First thing I would do is to seek out a credit union. Typically, credit unions have the best interest rates, and even if you have a few credit blemishes along the way, but as long as you've been updated on paying your obligations, particularly car obligations, they'll particularly provide you with the lower interest rates as compared to a bank or compared to going to the dealership. So that's step one I would recommend doing. And with that also is that you need to pull your credits. You can go to myfico.com, and by accessing myfico.com, you'll have access to all of the three credit agencies together, and that would include Experian, TransUnion, and those would be two of the three that you have access to.
Let me throw out just an example of something that someone wants to buy. Let's talk new cars. Let's say, for example, that someone wants to buy a brand new foreign car, whether it's a German car like a BMW or a Japanese model like a Lexus. Say they want to buy a new Lexus for $45,000 or a BMW for $45,000. When you get to the dealership, let's say you're approved and you like your interest rate and all of that, what's the first thing you should do when walking into the dealership? Do they see a sucker coming in the door?
Well, Harold, let me recommend this before you even move forward that process. If this is going to be your first time buying a German-made vehicle, such as a Mercedes or a BMW, and also I know you mentioned a Lexus product, you need to decide, first of all, the maintenance on how long do you plan on keeping the vehicle, and also if you can afford to maintain the vehicle. Now, typically on the newer BMWs and quite a few of the other makes, they offer maintenance with the vehicle for 2 to 3 years or 4 years, depending on what the warranty is of the vehicle. I had some folks I worked with recently here in the Atlanta area, and they were actually going from an Acura product to purchasing their first Mercedes. And that was the first thing I asked them, is to walk back to the service department to check and see, once the warranty expired, how much it would cost for regular maintenance and how much it would cost for tune-up and aftercare for the vehicle, because it wasn't going to be the same as the Japanese product they own. So that's step one. Once you decide that it's in your budget and it's something that you can afford, what I'd recommend doing, even before going to the dealership, there's so many tools that you have available these days that you don't really have to do that. You can do virtual shopping online, and you can do it through my website, JEFFCARS.com. You also have a number of other reputable websites that you have access to go through that process. So as an informed consumer, once you've landed on what you've decided on, is that what you should do is to actually seek out the dealerships that are in your area, do a comparison shopping process, whereas you seek them out. You can go online if you have access to the internet, which most of us do these days. Go online. You can do online chats with the dealership, or you can reach out, find their phone numbers if you don't have access to online tools, and call the dealership and ask for their internet department From there, once you get an internet representative, they'll typically quote you a fair price that doesn't require negotiation. And what I would recommend doing is to call a number of stores within your area, see who has exactly what you're looking for, find out what the color would be, the cost would be, all those particular things. And then once you have that information, the name of that individual, then it's time to actually step into and go into a dealership and go from there.
Now, at that point, if you're shopping via internet, even if it is a brick and mortar store or dealership that's in your area, if you don't compare on the internet, is it possible that just walking into a dealership that you may be charged more for the same vehicle that you would see at the same place on the internet?
Actually, good question, and the answer is yes, yes, and yes.
Wow.
As you know, that old saying is, if you want to hide anything from us, you put it in a book.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, you put it on the internet, where we have access to the latest tools, such as the invoice cost, what dealers actually pay for the vehicle. You can go to other websites that actually reference to you if there are rebates that are available on the vehicle, which are discounts below what the actual selling price is on the vehicle. So all of these tools you have access to that we didn't have many years ago, 20 to 30 years ago, that we have access to all these things now. But ironically, as we're having this conversation, there are still so many of us that just walk into the dealership as if we don't have any tools available. And I've noticed that regardless of education, regardless of income level, that folks just do it across the spectrum and just rely upon the salesperson or rely upon the dealership to actually guide you through the process. And that's just the antiquated way of doing things. But it's the best way of doing it from the dealer's perspective.
I'm talking.
They love an uninformed consumer.
I'm talking to auto expert and editor of JEFFCARS.com, Jeff Fortson. We're discussing shopping for a new vehicle, SUV, a car, a used car, whatever, how to get the best deal without getting ripped off. Okay, so Jeff, say you have gone to the internet and you're looking at the individual items that you want for the car. When you negotiate, can you negotiate with an internet salesperson? And if so, how is that done? I know I've heard for years that they often say, well, you have to decide on the price that you're willing to pay, whether it's the price of the car, the price of the monthly payment, or how much, for the extras. How do you negotiate the price of a vehicle? Again, in the instance that I mentioned earlier, let's say a $45,000 car, and say it has some extras, like an upgraded stereo. Can you negotiate the price of that stereo as well?
Well, Harold, I'm going to take you back to the step that I mentioned, because you're taking me to the old school way of shopping.
Okay,
and we can do that, but I'm trying to move you forward with all the
help me out here. I'm old school. Help me out here.
and that's okay. But you're a highly intelligent individual, like all of your listeners are. So what we're going to do again is that we're going to utilize the tools that are available through the internet. So if you are looking to purchase a brand new BMW in the $45,000 price range, more than likely, I'm going to make the assumption that you're looking at a 3 Series.
Not necessarily. I mean, it could be
more than that. 55,000. What you looking at, the 5 Series?
Maybe.
Okay. That means
maybe that's
you're bringing money to the table.
Yeah, that's
correct?
a used car. Yeah.
Okay. No. We can do it, and that's a whole other discussion that we'll have also that we'll add into it. Is also the difference between looking at a used vehicle versus a certified vehicle, because all those things come into play.
Okay.
There's a philosophy that's out, the millionaire next door philosophy, is that millionaires typically buy pre-owned vehicles or used vehicles, but in some cases it does make sense. But in other cases, today with some of the prices being so close and overlapping, is that if you're in the market for a used vehicle, is that sometimes you need to look and see what the prices are for the comparable new vehicle could be, because it may just be within a few $100s of one another. And typically also when you're looking at a new vehicle, is that you will be provided with a lower interest rate than you will be on a used vehicle. And it also, as we're talking about this BMW, something to consider also is to check and see before you purchase the new one. Is check with the dealership to see do they have any loaner vehicles that are that are no longer being utilized for loaner service when customers come in and they need to be provided with a vehicle while their vehicle's being serviced. Sometimes they pull these vehicles out. They're virtually brand new. They've been maintained very well. They have maybe 7,000 to 8,000 miles on, maybe not that much on it, and it's still within the same model year, and you get a substantial discount on it.
Wow.
So that's something to consider also.
I never thought about that. Wonderful. Great. Okay. So the next point, when you were talking again about the whole negotiation process, again, if I go on the internet and I find a vehicle that I like,
yes, sir,
and it has a price, do I call the internet dealer and see if I can negotiate that down, or is that what it is? Is that the price that it is?
In 99% of the cases, it is what it is.
Okay.
And the reason they've done this is it's the same philosophy of what Saturn did when they were around a few years ago with this one-stop negotiation process, whereas everybody that went in, they knew that they were going to pay the same price for the vehicle. Also, there's another major franchises out there that I'll mention, which is CarMax also, which everybody goes in. It's a used car franchise. They have some new car franchises that are part of their organization too. And everybody goes in and they pay the same price for it. There is no negotiation on it. It's a fair market price for what's going on in the community, of what's going on in the area. There are also dealers throughout the country, depending upon what area that you're in. They also offer what we call one-price shopping, meaning that you go in and you pay whatever's on the sticker. They got the sticker price, and then they have the discounted price next to it. Now, my recommendation is for that, and I think we're still on the same page. I know I'm kind of going around the circle.
No, go ahead.
But my recommendation, if you go into one of those type of stores that doesn't dicker on their price, is that check and see what their price is, and then go to another store to see if they have a lower price or if they'll be willing to move on the price. So this whole process, the whole car buying process, and I just tie it into, honestly, I teach a car buying clinic, and what I typically tell folks is that everything that we do is negotiable, whether it's in a personal relationship, whether you're buying a car, whether you're buying a house, it's all negotiable. And it's a matter of two parties coming together, having a mutual agreement, a mutual understanding, and agreeing upon one thing together. So 99% of the case, if you go online and you find out there's an internet department within the store and you contact the internet department, they're going to quote you a price. And, again, shop that price around with several stores within the area. So once you go to that store and you've agreed upon this is the price that you want to pay, so if you're looking at a BMW and you're looking at adding on a premium radio, typically the vehicle that you're looking at is going to have that, depending upon what you're looking at, it's already going to have those particular options in it, unless they're going to upgrade you, step you up to a totally different vehicle that may have the upgraded audio system in it, and they can also have upgraded other features in it too, also that would drive up the whole price of the vehicle. So you got to take all that into consideration as you're going in. And I think that's the difference also if we're looking at buying a new vehicle also versus a pre-owned vehicle or a used vehicle, whereas when you buy a used vehicle, then you can kind of look at, well, I want to take these wheels off and swap it for this or swap it for that. But typically when they're new vehicles, they're already been pre-spec'd out, and what you'll do is you'll switch from the base package to the mid package to the premium package to the luxury package, depending upon the specs and the trims of what's available on the vehicle.
When I've seen a lot of commercials for used cars at new car dealerships, they talk about certified vehicles. Is that something that they just kind of throw out? What